Good morning, Oracles. Well, yesterday was one of those fantastically boring days. We started off in the red. We were looking like, oh, are we going to go under 900? And we were waiting for the FOMC meeting notes to come out. And I'm pretty sure that's what drew the entire market down. And then we got the notes and the market came back up and rallied and we finished pretty much flat for the day. Pretty darn boring. But we got the FOMC notes and that tells us that, we're on the same path. There was nothing new. We kind of expected this. So we expected the sell-off early in the morning with uncertainty. And then we got exactly what we were thinking. And this just tells me that all of the negativity that could be possibly surrounding inflation and rates going up has been priced in, because we got the same information this month that we got last month. So nothing new, everything was sold off last month, so we can continue this little bit of a rally. The only thing that I see as a negative catalyst that we can foresee over the next month or so is the Russia-Ukraine situation. So there was word that Russia was pulling out, there's word that Russia is staying there. We don't know. We're going to kind of sitting in this holding pattern right now. And it kind of seems like with Tesla's stock, we're sitting in this holding pattern. We're just sitting here. As I said, we're consolidating. Looks like we are still on track for February 24th to be the breakout point. So again, like I had said yesterday, it can break out before that and it can break down. It does not have to break out. So, and we can get a fake out breakout. We can break out and then fall right back into it. Lots of different options, but this is the wedge pattern that we're heading towards, is looking like a breakout. And so when I see this wedge pattern forming and I see a bull pennant coming and I see, a potential breakout, I try to look at what catalysts do we have, negative and positive, because again, like I said, it could be a breakdown that comes out of this. And so it looks like, as I had said, the only negative catalyst that I can see is in the macro environment, and that would be the Russia-Ukraine situation. For positive catalysts, nothing really in the macro environment. There's been so much negative sentiment in both the macro environment and in the Tesla specific environment that it's kind of like just waiting for this corner to turn. And so I'm looking at, the positives. We have Austin and Berlin potentially opening up, news about the 4680 batteries, credit rating potentially going up from the S&P. So there's so many different things that could potentially send Tesla stock into a breakout. And this pattern that we have been in with the sentiment is similar to how I felt we were in last year, right around the, basically the February through April time frame last year when, the stock went from all-time highs at the time of $900 down to $525. And there was a lot of good underlying fundamental news that we had coming out, but there was so much FUD in the headlines that was just overwhelming everything. And so with that, this is kind of the pattern I have seen. But then all of a sudden, that sentiment went away. And because the sentiment went away, we got some positive news and then everything rallying behind it. And it's so weird to watch the media when all of a sudden it swings from negative headlines to positive headlines. And I'm like, but weren't you just bashing Tesla 2 months ago? So when I follow the headlines like this, it kind of just leads me in what direction are we going? And if we've got a bunch of FUD headlines out there, mentally, and it's maybe a conspiracy theory side of my brain thinking, well, there's a bunch of people who are trying to buy in because they know a lot of good things going on about the stock, and they want to be able to buy as much as possible now before the really good news comes out. So they send out a whole bunch of bad news in the media, brings the stock price down, holds it lower, and then all of a sudden we hit that point where like, oh, here's the breakout, and then the positive news starts to flow to drive the stock price even higher. And so this may be my tinfoil hat theory, but there's a lot of just coincidences that I happen to see around this, and there's just a lot of common similarities and situations that happen regularly around this, and I've been just noticing patterns. So when I start to see these patterns forming, we see patterns in the charts, but I like to follow patterns in sentiment and patterns in the media and patterns in the way people talk. And you can go ahead and you can go to Google and track all the search histories and everything, and you can see spikes in this and that. And it's like, you know what? This is the trend that we're going in. And so I take my chart patterns and I take my media patterns and I put them together to try and formulate, where I think the stock may be going. And a lot of times it may not be going in any specific direction. But now all of a sudden when we have a pattern forming here with a wedge pattern, thinking, you know what? We're heading towards a breakout. All right, let me start taking a look at the patterns I have been seeing in the media and in the sentiment. And so right now, like I said, we are heading in a place where there's been a lot of FUD coming out of Tesla. So we are due for that turn. And if that turn happens coming towards the end of this month, it would be at the right time to break us out. So that's what I'm looking for the breakout. But again, going forward, we still do have gaps to fill down to 875 and another gap to fill down to 846. So even if we do break out of this, I don't think it may last long. I think we will still pull back probably in March around the FOMC meeting when we get the rates going up for the first time. And so I think when that happens, we will see a pullback again. Again, that may not happen. This is just the kind of sentiment pattern that I have been seeing going on. So I think that may be what happens, technically fills the charts, plays along perfectly with sentiment that's going on in the market. So just seeing these patterns, we'll see if that plays out, but that's the way I'm going to be viewing this over the next month. So the stock will probably run, with a breakout over 1,000 and then pull back down to the low 800s. And then at that point, we kind of have to feel out how heavy is the macro environment sentiment weighing on everything. And again, timing wise around then, March comes around, we will have macro environment uncertainty pulling the stock down, but we will also be having Austin and Berlin most likely coming online. Austin coming online means that we know that the 4680 batteries will probably also be online. And we have discussed those, and those are getting really close to what looks like a scalable possibility for Tesla very soon. So between the two of those, it looks like we have great positive catalysts coming at the same time that we will have the negative macro environment catalyst. And a key piece for me through that is going to be seeing how the stock reacts to the macro environment and interest rates going up. Because the macro environment realistically should be a much heavier weight pulling everything down than just the stock and the positive catalysts coming out of Austin and Berlin. So we'll see how it does, and if Tesla fares better than the entire macro environment and the entire stock market and all the indices, then I think that we will do very well going forward to the end of the year. I think we're going to do very well towards the end of the year either way, but I think that will be like the testing point to see how we are going to react throughout the rest of the year and while all the interest rates are going to be going up for the next 12 to 18 months. Let me know in the comments below, where do you think we're heading from here? Do you think that we are heading towards this breakout and we see that breakout coming through March? Let me know your thoughts. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. Thank you so much. Have a great one.